whether it's your food stamp lady,
40
whoever,
for,
right?
40 for 80.
I feel like that's a blessing to the community, real talk.
We love you out here.
Ain't no better blessing to. And yeah, I know I'm an advocate. Listen, anybody that's listening, if you're selling stamps for half, listen,
Dog, shoot old head real.
Right here below. Comment right below,
and you could just tag old head real in your
listen,
comment.
I cash app for the half for
Facts.
sure. You know what I mean? I buy in bulk, and
I buy in bulk.
I slide you what you need. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I think that it's a blessing, and that was a question I recently had. Does Sam's Club, BJ's, all of them, do they accept EBT?
I'm pretty sure they do.
I hope so.
I don't think.
I'm trying to go crazy.
I don't think too many people be trying to swipe the EBT card in Sam's Club.
I don't give a bruh. If you that proud, you have it.
Hey, you know something
I
crazy?
ain't worried about none of these random people.
I think they charge a membership to get in there. Like
inside.
The membership isn't that expensive.
I don't think people just going. I think that's more for like.
Oh no, for sure. You do have fresh on the membership, so I'm trying to figure out how the world works.
Oh yeah, how the world works.
Right, listen. I'm trying to manipulate the game, bro. This is the Matrix. Some goddamn. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you know something funny?
I'll let you go.
No, my friend, this is something quick about it. He was saying, you know something funny, bro? When we was broke, it was kind of like, you know, I was not confident. I felt weird. You know what I mean? Like, what is the word? Self-conscious, I guess, about using food stamps, using that card when you broke. Mm-hmm. When you all right, you happy to goddamn. Nigga,
you judging me? All right.
Bro, I remember my first time using the joint. That double back when you ain't calculated right and you got to go get more food. I was like, bro, I've never experienced anything like this. This is fire.
Oh, now I be doing my shit online, so all my orders I do online. I'm just sitting there calculating. Like, all right, let me put this back. Let me get the bigger side. I used to be going great value. Let me. Oh, what's the name brand for this one?
Oh yeah.
I need the name brand.
You start upping shit.
Yeah. Like,
I agree.
Let me get my pinky out and be fancy for a quick little second.
Makes sense to me.
But I think that'd be a good time. We'll hop back into it. Welcome to the To Be Fair show.
Yes, sir.
I'm your host Johnny P. I'm here with
Old Hair Real.
It's Q.
And we are back. I think before we got into the topics, I think we should do a proper kind of introduction, kind of let people know kind of what to expect on the show, kind of some stuff, and then we got a few topics lined up that we'll get into. But I'll throw to Quint and kind of let him kick it off.
One of our major or main things that we're trying to accomplish with the show in itself is the idea of having different opinions is okay. So typically we like to get, whether it's a controversial or an opinionated topic, and we all have at it. And a lot of times we all are going to present a different perspective just given from our life and our viewpoint. And with that, we're going to go back and forth. We're going to try and, argue our point, debate our point. But at the end of the day, we're all going to kind of like approach it inside a fair extent, and we're going to give each other a fair leeway to our opinion. So nobody's going to leave upset. Nobody's going to be mad. We're going to get into it for sure. But as soon as we break, we back. We're going to dap it up, and everything going to be everything.
It's going to be what it is.
So, all in all, that kind of is the concept per se. Yeah.
I don't think we've done that. I don't think we've kind of
let niggas know.
Kind of, what to expect, what we...
You can expect me not to be so fair sometimes. Right. I'm not always fair, and I get it, and it's okay.
At least he knows. Anyway. At least he's aware. So that's part of it.
Yeah. Johnny, how that PPP loan working out for you?
Oh, the one I got?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I done made my interest payments, man. We cool.
Oh, you good? Yeah. Oh, you done threw it back.
We straight.
Oh, okay.
Nah, but I see where you going with it. I think it's. We had I guess I'll give a little background before we hop into it.
Okay.
We had a discussion, I guess, last time we was over here about, Biden hiring 87,000 people to go after them, the PPP boys.
The boys.
From last summer. We all saw them.
Yeah.
Okay.
They was getting the loans, and I don't know how you feel. I know how Clint feel, but I just
don't say how I feel, bro.
No, I ain't say. You can tell. I don't know. Jarrell wasn't here.
I might have changed my mind, bro.
I might have changed mine too. So
okay.
Nah.
But I don't just I ain't Joe Biden. I just don't like that motherfucker. him putting 87,000 people out there to come after motherfuckers taking free money.
It's not free money. That was
Not
the
at all.
damn problem to begin with.
It actually was, because you know the Federal Reserves print money for free. Like, it's just literal
hold
free
on.
money.
The reason why the people fucked up because they thought it was free money.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but
What makes you think that the government was going to give
Just
these
give
niggas,
you free money.
niggas getting $50,000, $60,000? You thought that was going to go with not a slap on the wrist.
and
bro.
before we get too deep into it, I did some research on it.
All
Okay,
right.
talk to me.
I did some research before we, get into it. Only like 2% of small black businesses even got PPP loans, 2 to 3%.
Okay.
So it wasn't, real large. Like I think it was over 60% of it, or 70-something% of it went to white business owners.
Right, but that was also because it was based on how many employees you had, right?
Right, but I mean, there's also, if you look at, there's large black businesses that got a little higher percentage.
So I have a question.
of
So
it.
did you feel like Biden in this PPP loan whole thing that he's doing was targeted towards black people?
I mean, I might have initially had that reaction to it, as far as I saw,
So how do you feel right now?
I mean, after doing my research, I see that it ain't. But we all know black people didn't take most of the money. But if you had to guess who's gonna get arrested mostly for it, you not think it'd be more black people getting arrested for it?
I don't know. I don't know. I had to look and see the statistics. But
And
so
that's my only thing, is as far as when you come to application of this justice or so-called accountability.
Yeah, but our
So,
black
You know,
ass
if
still
we
should
start
have
seeing a
known.
bunch of black dudes going when they only took 2% of
So,
them, is
I-
that not an
yeah.
issue? That's my point.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So I have a question then, right? So whether it is justfully or unjustly mitigated to black or brown or whoever else, right? Do you feel sorry for them?
Me personally, no.
That's my only thing.
Okay,
Is
I
that, like at the end of the day,
I ain't out there trying to say
I'm-
I just don't like Joe
I
Biden
thought
going
you
out
was
there arresting a
advocating.
bunch of black people. That was my only point. Like, but you should have did.
But
what
you
did.
tell me that our black ass should have known better.
Can I paint a picture a little bit?
Go ahead.
The reason the whole PPP came is because we're in what's called quantitative. Well, it was the end of
quantitative easing.
easing.
Yeah.
Now we're in quantitative tightening. Part of
Yeah.
the 87,000, IRS agents, that's part of quantitative tightening. They gonna lock down, they getting stricter
Right.
with it. So, but at the end of that, it was right after the shutdowns. Yeah, 30 million unemployed people. We told people you couldn't go to jail.
You know,
And
them
then-
niggas was getting like.
and then you offered free
Wasn't
money.
Wasn't they getting something shelling like unemployment?
And that's
I
what
don't
I'm saying. Like you
remember,
didn't
'cause I
even have
You
to
don't
do
remember?
that.
You ain't hear about them? They was getting like
Nah,
what was it, like 9
them
plus
niggas
the
was
extra
making more
4?
money
Them
than
niggas-
most people
them
was
niggas was
making.
making like $1,400 a week.
I forgot about that. I did because I didn't get. I wasn't.
Yeah, I ain't getting that either. I was kind of hot because I quit. I had actually what I had. What, either way, I wasn't. I definitely was working while they was getting that extra bread, making all that money. That was shell to me. But I mean, I think that was fire. You know what I mean? Shout to everybody who was
Right.
able to get
And
that
I'm gonna say
bread. 'Cause
that-
that was fire.
Because of that, it was no need that you had to even try and scam the niggas that gonna come for you if you.
Well, let me
Then the
ask you this.
stimulus too. On top of that,
Yeah,
So
it
you
was
got
a stimulus plus
I'm
unemployment.
saying, but they were scamming us though, like with the whole printing of the money. So
All
like,
right,
I can't get mad at somebody. Like I said,
no,
I, don't
I
got
can
no
get
feel
mad
no
at
sorry,
niggas that's doing
but
dumb shit.
If
Yeah.
they just literally printed 80% of the money that's in circulation, like since like 24, they printed over $3 trillion of like the money that's in circulation. They literally printed that money, and if you see the inflation and where the dollar's going, they made the dollar worthless. And then you get mad at somebody when they're unemployed, and that's my only thing. It's just I just see the bigger game, and I can't pick at the small, the low hanging fruit where there's a bigger, more vicious game going on, and you're like, oh, we're gonna not say nothing to them, but everybody who took the loan, y'all got to pay for it.
Yeah,
I
but
just
it was a
I just
loan.
don't agree with that.
It was a loan. That means the money has to be paid back. That's just not free
But
money.
you know what they do at the banks when they take loans and they just make them pay the interest. So I can see if you just make people pay the interest back and make them pay the loan back, that's
Yeah.
fine.
But if I'm not mistaken,
sending
with
people
the,
to jail over it,
with
that's
the PPP,
crazy.
I could have sworn that there was if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I could have sworn that there was a clause saying that, like, if anybody lied or plagiarized their documents, that that's a felony. So you had warning signs.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that was in. As a matter of fact,
No.
I actually started filling one out. I actually started because I had heard some, you know what I mean, some people who
Yeah,
had got a
they was
couple
trying to catch
quarters,
you up.
and they was like, bro, you know what I mean, you can go and you can get this. You
But
know
it was
what I mean?
that
They'll
easy
let you
though.
get-
Like, and
yeah,
so,
but no,
like,
but
you
see, the
almost
thing
fell
is,
for it too.
no, but see, the thing is that what made me realize is this was not for me was that like maybe like the third question you start lying at question 3. How many employees do you have? That's like question 3.
None.
0. You know what I mean? Well,
And-
it's like, yeah, once I say, oh, no, I ain't finna fuck with the IRS. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not finna play with these folks.
like
They-
I
you
say, like I say,
mess
Like
around
to
and-
me, it's just a certain level of accountability that just has to come.
When it comes with self accountability, I'm totally with that. You gotta hold yourself accountable more first anything. So I'm not anti accountability with my stand. Y'all
Like,
trying to paint me
during
as
the
I'm just
pandemic,
anti, but
it was memes going around talking about all you niggas that lied about the little PPP loan. Have fun now, but them motherfuckers are coming for you. And like right now, the whole thing is happening, and to which it ain't really much reason for me to have empathy if you lied. If there's some like level of translation that didn't happen properly and like they coming for you, then cool. But at the end of the day, like for me, there has to be a certain level of accountability to your actions. Like we all not out here deaf, dumb, and blind.
I mean, I
You
get
done had
that.
the warning signs. Like you said after question 3, it said, I mean, whatever it said to the point that where you was lying, to me, how dumb do you have to be intentionally lying to the government about some shit? And they say that it's going to be a felony while you're putting all of your information in
Yeah, they
to
got
where
your
like
social
they're not
and
going to check
everything.
it.
They got all your information, bro.
Like you better off selling drugs, bro.
Nah,
like
I
at least
agree.
it's not a full paper trail to your dumb
But the only
shit.
thing with
You know what I'm
selling-
saying?
The only thing I had with selling drugs and why I have more empathy or more empathy for a motherfucker doing the PPP than
Stop
a
it.
motherfucker selling drugs is
Stop
because the drugs has actual real effects. Like you sell drugs in your community to
Okay, I
people's
got you.
aunties
That's a good
and
point.
stuff like that. You
But
don't have no
also-
accountability to your community.
good
But also-
so if
also
you're
the
taking free
PPP
money from the government, there's no victim there.
There-
It's
there-
just
but
the
look,
government.
the
If
thing
you
is
selling
that
drugs,
it's
you
the
fucking
victim
your
What if you
community
just
up.
selling
The
weed?
victim is everyone.
Man, it's still
The victim is everyone for the same.
Chill out, bro.
In the same
Yeah.
sense, in the same sense of what you were saying, like where there's a victim in the drug game. Everybody else is a victim of this. We all have to deal with the inflation because at the end of the day,
Facts. Nah,
they. But
that's
hold
my
on, hold on, hold on,
point,
hold on. Let me say this
though.
though.
That's my
You
point.
can say that they printed the money, but if
did.
everybody wouldn't have been going and grabbing it,
It was
For
still
the-
printed.
what you mean? So
Nah,
that don't mean
see,
that it's dispersed
yeah,
though.
Facts.
They would have took it. Then they would have spent it. Like once you print
But-
the money, it's gonna go into circulation. They not just because we didn't take it. Somebody else would have took it.
Yeah, but do you
It
think
was
that
gonna
do
be
you-
took.
So you don't think that the acceptance of the PPP loans actually helped trigger the inflation?
No, the printing of the money to give people the PPP loans triggered the inflation.
Yeah, nah, they threw the bait out. That's
Like
the
something
thing.
just about that. We know how they act. Like we seen Joe Biden in the crime bill and how he, did. We seen Kamala how she done sent all those black people to jail when she was DA. And
Okay.
now them, I just don't want to see them send more black people to jail. It's just
So-
something about that just bothers me. So that's my only
I get it.
thing with it. Where I'm not anti accountability, but when I see them motherfuckers sending black people to jail, there is gonna be some kind of empathy within me. Like I just can't help it.
Bro, and see, I can't even fraud it. A little bit ago, I would say, you know what I mean, a couple years ago, maybe, I generally was like anybody that's doing, you know what I mean, that's saying something about black people that ain't black, you need to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I was real defensive when it came down to like someone of a different race telling us what we need to do. You know what I mean? So like I would have been on that too, for sure. But yeah, I've since changed my.
But then what you learn is the fact that it's not about the messenger.
Mm-hmm.
It's the message. And so at the end of the day, like if you're
And
doing
we ain't
wrong, you're
stumping on the
doing wrong.
PPP joint no more. You know what I mean? We ain't stumping on that no
I'm
more.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can move on and
Yeah,
but
we
it's
can
still a
move
good
it.
point though.
And I mean, I think that what it kind of comes down to is the idea of accountability versus empathy, right? And where do you view that perspective when it comes to its effect upon black community? We can even drop it into like black men. You know what I mean? Where, yes, it's easy to find a way to be empathetic to, like, if we take the PPP loan shit, right? Where, damn, this person was struggling X, Y, and Z. But were all the things there that needed, like, did you get tricked into signing away this PPP loan shit? Or was this something that you did knowing the repercussions, and then when the repercussions came, You're looking for people to see your circumstance and feel empathetic, instead of hold you accountable for the things that you did. And I think that if I'm to start it off, I think that there is a space where, piggybacking to like your statement, I've learned now it's not about the messenger, it's the message or the point that's being made. Whether I fuck with you or I don't fuck with you, if you're making a valid point, then the logic in me has to like sit and reason with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And to me, accountability it sits higher on the scale than empathy. Because at the end of the day, I feel like there's so many things that like we can always find a reason to be empathetic about something with somebody in their circumstances. I think that we all can sit and give like our traumas and different things like that.
Right.
Like there's a specific baseline to where like everybody has these things. But I think there is a space where if we're talking about progression, like actually progressing, there's a level of accountability that has to be had for there actually to be progress. Because if we just sit there and accept mistakes over and over and over, or we allow
make excuses
bad decisions to be okayed and washed away, then it becomes its own vicious cycle.
Yeah, I think it was an important part of what you said just now was the messenger portion. Like the messenger doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because I was having a conversation with a homeboy, and we were talking about how you can't like people will pretty much say that like in order for me to think that this person is giving good advice, they need to be walking what they're saying, and they have to have this and they have to have that. So for a person to tell you anything, they gotta have it figured all out. Like that makes absolutely no sense. So you telling me that an alcoholic is not the best person to tell you not to fuck with alcohol? Like, right. I think that this motherfucker is certified.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Right. This makes perfect sense. Like, people, you can't limit your pool of individuals that can give you information just based on your outlook on their life. Like, you know what I mean? That could go into the Kevin Samuel shit too.
Nah, it's fair. Or I mean, even more recent topics, 21 Savage and the whole gun crime shit in Atlanta. Well, like, truthfully, if there's a person, like, I don't know what how true his resume is, but if his resume is what they say it is, who better to tell you, hey, this gun shit kind of getting whacked, bro? Like, than a nigga that's been outside doing the shit.
No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
But what I was gonna say, as far as like what y'all talking about, as far as like the accountability and like being able, but that speaks to, cause I break it down. Like you gotta have like self accountability first, before you can step out there and try to make your community better. You gotta hold yourself accountable. When you get out there in your community, you can define it in several different ways. But the one way I can define community is Black people in America. That's what I consider my community and my peers. We all have to have accountability to that community. So whether it's legality or morality, we got to hold each other accountable. And I'm all for that. I'm not anti accountability when it comes to that. But also when we get bigger than that, and we look at the country as a whole, and we look at like America doesn't always, empathy is part of the success that America has had, because they have been empathetic with themselves in order to keep them in power. So you do have to have some empathy for your people
and
as well, because that's what white people after the Civil War, they didn't hold the South accountable. They had empathy, and the country was able to build. And if you're a white person, it went pretty well for you. But there's no accountability, in that. They just had empathy for each other. So there is a space for empathy in building strong communities.
So can I interject real quick? I think that's good for the people that are in power. You can be empathetic all you want. To me, I don't think the empathetic struggle works for minorities. And if we're speaking about the community in which you named it, as in the Black community, right? I think that sometimes we forget that we're also a minority in America that kind of has to adhere to some of the same rules that other immigrants that's coming to America has to, right? Okay. Where like they hold themselves to like this higher level of accountability because they understand that there's no empathy that comes with it, right? Right. So like if you look at the highest earning demographics inside America, they're minorities. And if you speak to them, I think the highest earning it's in yeah, I think it's Nigerian.
Nigerians.
But if you speak to any Nigerians, they say it's you're either a doctor, a lawyer, or you're a failure. There's an excessive level of accountability that comes there. There's no empathy for like what you could, should have, or whatever your circumstance is. It's like we have to make sure that we hold ourselves to this certain level of accountability because there's no empathy coming from the world or from the power structure, from you know what I mean, like for us. And I think that sometimes being the fact that as black people in America, what we get lost in is like we built the country, right? But we are still a minority. And it's this delicate balance where we have the right to claim every piece of America that has existed.
It's more
because we've been ground level.
Theirs.
Right. We've been ground level.
But we've been here longer than
but we're not the ones in power. And so we still have to adhere to a minority immigrant mindset. And that's where we get lost at.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. Like with that whole thing, like because I tell people oftentimes when you know how you something will happen in the black community, and then first thing you want to say is, "Oh, well, white people doing it. You trying to be all those white people?" Like, bro, there's no need in comparing ourselves to white people. Like you said, we are a minority. It will be much more progressive for us to compare ourselves to the other minorities. They're getting it right in their communities. They actually have a community that they're, you know what I mean? They're working together to get from one place to the next, and you can see them doing it for each other and with each other all the time. And as soon as we can stop looking at white folk and start looking at them and start, understand, and then they be close to us. We literally be in the neighborhood with them. We can see them regularly, and we're taking in nothing from the you know what I mean, from what we're seeing.
How they move.
Yeah, they're literally showing us the blueprint, and we're just overlooking it, keep on looking over to the white man.
Yeah, and I think you hit one of the nails on the head, right? Because of like growing up, we all know that we've made the joke about like Mexicans or Hispanics all being inside one car, like smushed together, all being inside the same house and apartment.
They was getting it done.
But eventually, like now, as adults, you start learning like, oh no, this is the process. You know what I'm saying? Where like they all ride to work in that same car until this person gets a car, this person gets a car, that person gets a car. They all stay inside that house until like, all right, you got your money up, we'll get your house. All right, then we'll split, and then this next group get your house.
And they don't kick their kids out at 18.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's a full system.
Totally
to
different way of
that
living.
Where you know what I mean, ignorantly sometimes as black people, when we compare ourselves to someone that we're unequal to in the sense of like the power structure. You know what I'm saying? Like we are not. I don't even want to say that, but nonetheless, like when it comes to like majority minority, like there is a difference inside like the ruling class and what you know what I mean, what it kind of allows you to do. And as black people, sometimes like I said, we just kind of don't understand that part. And sometimes we look at ourselves as the other, like as the founding people, even though we are. But we also understand that a lot of that shit has been stripped away from us to where like us making fun of an immigrant population that's actually doing the shit at the ground level that it takes to build up the community, and that in 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, now this is a vibrant, strong community that has the ability to actually make, you know what I mean, like really strong decisions, hold itself into power when it comes to like its leverage when it comes to political shit, financial shit. You know what I mean?
And it's crazy you saying that. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's crazy you saying that. You think about all the construction that the Hispanics are doing.
Crazy.
Do you know how much power they literally have over the city? I just thought about that while you were saying. It's like, bro, if them niggas said, well, fuck that, we ain't going to work tomorrow.
Big strike.
The fuck?
They gonna call somebody. They gonna call one of them boys and be like, hey, what we need to do?
Yeah, they gonna figure it out quick.
Hey, who we need to talk to?
Yeah.
Who we need to talk to? We need to talk to Miguel or let me stop. But who we need to talk to? Because they gonna call and they gonna make something happen.
Dr. Claude Anderson, y'all watch his interview on Breakfast Club?
Yeah,
and that's pretty much what he was talking about. That's the reason why we ain't gonna get no justice. You know what I mean? That's why we ain't gonna get. You know what I mean? We're gonna stay where we are because we don't have any money behind it. We don't. Our voice doesn't mean anything other than we gonna hit the streets.
Right, and like, are we getting in our bag right now? All right, so, but when it comes down to like, if we take it a level, well, I don't even know if this might still stay at the same level when it comes to deepness. But I think that there's an important piece where the fact that like what we're saying is that this group, this demographic, understands that we have to control an industry, or like being predominant in an industry means something, right? So where like we can start naming out different demographics in industries that they control, and I would then bring that back to black people and ask, what is an industry that we really in our bag on?
Shit.
And it's tough, right?
It's none of them. But I mean, they
Right,
don't
right.
control.
And
The closest thing you can say is basketball, which is
or
like,
entertainment. I mean,
you know
but
what I mean?
then,
But we don't control it.
No,
But
right,
basketball,
right.
that's why I said basketball, because the players are like almost
Yeah. No,
running
that's
the
a great
league
point.
type of shit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I think that is one of those things where like when there's like a ground level industries that you can kind of like pass down businesses to, and or that like you kind of like understand like, okay, this is our niche, whether it's tech or like, to me, my thing is that I always say that I push from my son to whoever is that I went to school and I got a degree inside psychology, right? Mm-hmm. It's cool. It allows me to see things inside a specific type of way or some shit like that. But reality is that that's not a high earning field. Like when you leave, you just still be low key hunting for a job like any other regular person, because it's not like a major industry. It's not a high earning industry. I push kids in my estimation to get into tech, finance, medical, high earning industries to be able to, like, you know what I mean, get your capital up, because of the game of America in itself is capital. Mm-hmm. And all the minorities and different demographics that understand that, they're able to play the game at a different level.
Let me ask you this, because, y'all done painted me in the, empathetic corner of this. And I'm with that. But, like, while y'all was talking and y'all was comparing us to the other minority groups, I was just thinking, there was a point where we had that accountability. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we all know where we lost it. It had to do with integration.
Big facts.
And all of that. And the 60 years since, the civil rights movement and everything, where we've kind of lost the sauce. But how do we get back to the accountability? Like, and that's my thing.
And you know that something that went crazy with what you just said? The question we was asking about, like, the religion portion of it.
Go ahead.
It goes right in.
Is that what you was thinking?
No, I didn't even take it that deep. You just said.
Well, before we segue into that, to me, I think how we get back to it is literally by doing the thing. It's accountability. Mm-hmm. So like that's why I can't sit and give you empathy for like taking out a PPP loan.
It's not just accountability; it's also
coming
together in unity and creating community. That's more.
Well, no, but I mean, in order to do that, I would say that the first ground step is going to be that I have to be able to hold. You have to be able to hold me accountable, and I have to be able to hold myself accountable, so that we can build trust within each other, which then we can actually start to build. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you hit it. You hit what I was going to say. I ain't got shit.
Oh yeah. No, I think accountability and that's fucking dope. And go ahead, you got it.
Oh no, I just I was just saying, I think, but you kind of bridged where I was at and where Quint was at, as far as just, you got to have the, accountability to build the unity. I mean, that makes sense. I guess, like, I can't trust nobody if they not reliable, or, just, it makes sense. So, I mean, I get that, but I'm an empathetic being, and I'm always, especially for my people, I'm always have some kind of, empathy for them. We gotta hold each other accountable. I'm totally with that too. Absolutely. But I just can't help feeling empathetic when I see other black people. I see myself. I see my family. That's all.
Mm-hmm. So before we segue into Rail's part, right? I do think that this is where we're at. This part of the conversation. It's good to like throw out this question. Do you think that as black men now? Let's turn the cameras to that right now. Mm-hmm. From a black male perspective, do you think that we benefit from empathy or accountability? Like when it kind of comes down to it, and it like, yeah, I'll leave it at that, and then throw it out there, and then I'll come back and give my perspective.
I mean,
what'd you say, Johnny?
You always benefit. I think it's accountability. I think that's a pretty easy question. But I mean, it's not to say that there's no value in empathy, though. I think accountability is more important, but also, I can't just be like it's this and not feel. I think accountability is like when you get up and you go to the gym and you hold yourself accountable and you're disciplined for. That's what builds the muscle. Like I get
right,
that. Like,
but
totally
I think
get
that like when it comes down to a lot of current day shit, there is like I think just in general within our culture, like right now we're at this space where we're balancing this new age realization of like a lot of therapeutic shit. Whether it's like a lot of our traumas that we kind of built, like that we've all experienced, and everybody's different traumas are detrimental to themselves, right? And the idea of, to an extent, like, oh, this is a young black male coming up inside an impoverished situation, and he has all these different things stacked against him, in which there is this built-in, like, I don't know if you would say excuse, right? I wouldn't necessarily want to use that word.
I wouldn't call empathy an excuse because I still think you got to get up and do it.
But my thing is that like there's a lot of things in which is allowed to justify bullshit, right? And you know what I mean? Like I know that a majority of even like this panel grew up inside those exact same situations, right? To whatever people would label as at risk youth type scenarios where like you've been dealt a hard hand or a tough enough hand, like you was given a choice to make specific decisions, and then what did you hold your hat on?
Let me ask you this.
I think that
you don't think empathy, coming where we come from, you don't think us experience. I know we had to be accountable to be successful for ourselves, but you don't think empathy, like from our community and stuff, had any effect on that at all? Like,
but
it's an important.
I think it's important, and I think it's second though.
Okay.
So I think that to me, if we're actually talking about progression, has to be second, because of at the end of the day, like we understand that we have been placed inside hard situations, tough situations, and that for years we've been we can go back to different decades in which, as a community, we built something up and it was tore down through systematic shit. You know what I mean? Through like whether you want to use like words like white supremacy, different things like that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that there's nobody that's going to like pat you in your back and be like, oh, that's so sad, that's bad, and then lift you up. No, you still got to get it out the mud and do it yourself, right? In which I think that's where it's like, okay, boom, I'm in this scenario. This shit is like, this might be detrimental, but I got to get it out the mud. I got to actually make this shit happen.
Well, one thing I don't want us to do is to get like, I agree with everything y'all saying right now. Like, even a piece with some of the empathy, because like you see some of these, I guess they're going to call themselves like the black conservative, like pods dudes and stuff. I've listened to some of their content.
Horrible.
I can't even think of their names because I don't really care so much to know their names. I just look some of what they're saying and just keep going.
About.
Yeah, and but one thing I will say is like, if you just doing this whole stop complaining, shut up thing, then fuck you, because there is something to complain about. You know what I mean? You still need to you need to execute for sure. Hold yourself accountable and execute.
Yeah, for sure.
But you still don't sit there and try to act like, you know what I mean? I get, what are you still asking for reparations for? Because they fucking owe.
Because yes,
you know what I mean? I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You're gonna have to do what you're gonna have to do because it don't look like it's coming. But at the same time, there's still a history. There's still a history that is
still the debt.
Yeah, it's a debt that is owed. You know what I mean? There's still a debt that's owed. But I definitely I don't co-sign nothing like that specific language where they're pretty much telling like, just stop crying. You know what I mean? Yeah. To me, that's like you think that you're Yeah, so there's a limit of
Well,
empathy
and
that I definitely am with the accountability. I'm 100%. Well, I'm definitely with the accountability.
Okay.
But there is a bit of
you can't be unempathetic.
yeah.
Right. I agree with that. I think that empathy, but that's the only piece where I think the empathy is second. I think accountability comes first.
But
And go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think sometimes empathy, can look different. Also, it ain't gotta just be like making excuses for somebody
What's
when they
empathy?
go out.
How does the empathy look different?
Because what I think about just me and some of my friends that might not have had the access to certain information or to be in certain rooms and stuff, and they go out and they might do some dumb shit and get in trouble or whatever. And like I ain't gonna feel sorry for them, but instead of or make excuses, bro, you shouldn't have did that. Like this is what you got to do. This is what you got. But part of me being empathetic to knowing like what black people go through is if I see somebody, even if he made mistakes, I ain't. She got to be held accountable. But also with that accountability, I might pull you aside. Hey, bro, next time look at this or do it this way.
Now,
or
that's
just
or
don't
do
write
it
each other off type shit.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's what a lot of times.
Oh,
if
I
it's
think
my friends and they not exposed to certain information or they on some ignorant shit, and I think I just try to bring the information to them. You can take the horse to water, you can't make them drink, but sometimes that's all empathy is. It's just providing another perspective to a motherfucker to one day open their eyes. That's why I just, as far as I always think it's important. Like I said, accountability is first, but I'm very, I'm a very empathetic person. When I see my people, I try to, just look out and just do something. I ain't cold blooded. I ain't cut like that.
I agree. I think that the points that you hit on, I definitely agree with.
And that's crazy. Like the thing, like what does empathy look like? What does constructive empathy look like?
What does constructive?
You know what I mean? Like what he's saying, like the information. You know what I mean? Yeah, you went and did that shit. There ain't even no need to be like, even there should be nothing that I would say.
I ain't gotta hold you accountable.
Other than like, did you think about it this way?
It's such a tough space to be at because of I don't know, like because I agree with everything that you said, right? And I think that is beneficial. And I think that helpful empathy starts with education. Like, and that meaning educating your friend group or the people around you in your community. And I do think that there is specifically a certain level of empathy that has to go to people that grow up inside spaces in which they don't have the access to specific information and education. Whether that's financial, whether that's social skills, it's like it's a levy of different type of shit that you can be missing out on, right? That can change your worldview, as it like just on its head. But I also understand and know from like a more macro sense that don't nobody give a shit.
No, I can.
And so then now it's this part of like
that's facts.
Like where.
But then the thing is though is if the community is to be a community, then the community should give a shit within itself. That's why, like we were saying before, that's why you don't compare yourself to the white man. You compare yourself to the minority because they give a shit about each other. So we're looking for everybody else to give a shit. That's the problem.
Where I think it still goes into accountability is that the people that give a shit is not empathetic, it's accountability. Well, now I got to hold my brother accountable. And so you don't know this, I'm going to give you this information, now what you going to do with it? And then it's like, okay, I've armed you with all the information, and then you're still making this bad decision. Now it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's tough to be empathetic. I think that when you're armed with information and you're doing right and the negative shit happens, then it's empathy or whatnot. And I think I think it's just a dance. Like it's a delicate dance, and I think that all of us, we've grown up in the communities in which that we are empathetic, sympathetic to the conditions and the people that we all have grown up
naturally.
Like we all know somebody that's died from gun violence. We all know somebody that's died from drugs. We all know somebody that's died from dealing drugs or is in jail from dealing drugs. And
alcohol.
Yeah,
all obesity.
Like all of it.
Every
Right. And I think that all of those are situations in which there's empathy to be had. My thing is that, like, if we're looking to change the trajectory, then kind of like empathy has to be second, even though it's not a far away second. But I think that if we want to get to like a level of progression,
I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Okay, well, I got a question based off of that, like, and it's not the one, you know what I mean, that we're going to get into, but it's just a question. Where do you see, like, or where do y'all see are, like, the great or the areas in which we can use the most accountability within the community?
financial literacy,
Politics.
both. Yeah. I think those are the two.
Financial literacy, definitely. YouTube is out there, bro. It's literally about no reason for you not. And I ain't saying you're going to be an expert, but there's enough information on there for you to see how to change your credit situation, which is then just changing your credit is going to change your financial situation simply because you pay less in interest on everything. Your fucking car insurance is less. You know what I mean? So like you literally, there's a lot within that financial education piece.
So I'll say this. So if y'all would like us to kind of dive deeper into those two things, because I think you made a great point. Financial literacy and politics, black people, when it comes down to like accountability, I think that those are major. I think that those are two topics that we can, because I think even those in themselves is like a long ass unpacking, right? So I think that comment below, y'all want us to hop into that, drop a 2 and no, drop a 4. We from Charlotte.
Yeah,
drop
4.
a 4 in the chat. If y'all want us to hop in deeper into those two things. Yeah.
So I wanted to double back to a point that you made, Johnny P, where you said that black people we had our system figured out, right? But then integration happened, and that kind of threw us off a bit. So do you think that the black community not having a large population of people who aren't religious has benefited or harmed the community?
Yes. No. I mean, that was the wrong answer. I think having a Lord that isn't religious. So yes, the less religious people we have, I think it would be better for our community. And I wanted to ask you this, but I think you answered. We're specifically talking about the black church and Christianity, right? Not just within any religious or specifically like Christianity.
Just Christianity within the black community.
Okay. Yeah, the reason why I say Christianity, because I would say that's the largest population of religious black people would be Christian.
Okay. I got something else on some other religion. But as far as the black church, I definitely feel like they've let us down. Because like after Martin Luther, like in the 60s, you had Malcolm and Martin. Malcolm was Nation of Islam. Martin Luther King represented Christianity. One was peaceful, one was more kind of confrontational.
By any means.
By any means, he was finna get it done. They chose who they chose for a reason. There's a reason there's a Martin Luther King Day and not a Malcolm X Day. Like that's a very like they chose that for a reason. But after I think Martin died, and we went into integrations, I think the church just kind of what else has the church done except like negotiate with Joe Biden to sign the crime bill?
Well, I don't want you to go. But I want you to speak specifically, like not necessarily the church itself, but the religious teaching.
Well, I think the more we get away from it, the more we open up our eyes to just see clearer. I think being within, encapsulated in that church, especially like the New Testament where they teach all that forgiveness and,
It's empathy, my guy.
It is, but I ain't talking about empathy for them. I'm talking about empathy for us when I speak on it. It's two totally different empathies.
Facts.
But when the more we get away from that and we get more to our true selves and our real selves, it's only going to be beneficial because I feel like that part of religion was only there to control us. Like back when we were slaves, that was the only book you could read. Yeah. So it had to be something that was made niggas docile or, they wouldn't let us read it.
So, and just so, because the thing is that, something funny, initially when I thought of the question, I would have been on that side. As I've kind of strayed away. Like I was raised, and mom Duke's going to church.
I was raised in the church too.
And I've strayed, and I feel like what it was for me is that it really just, it eliminated this idea of something's going to do this for me. But what I will say is that Actually, I'm going to ask it in question form. Do you think that us socially, black people socially, as far as like the way that we treat each other, the way that we dress, the way that we, you know what I mean, how we project ourselves to one another and to society has gotten better since we've strayed away from Christianity, or do you think that it was the latter?
So when would you say that when would you say was the point that we strayed away from Christianity?
It would have been like maybe our parents were. It's almost like our generation,
like in the early 2000s.
It would have been like.
So then you got to ask yourself: is our generation doing better than previous generations?
I mean,
especially
it depends on which
recent previous generations, like i.e. the past 30 years. We can go 30 years. It's 90s, 2000s, 2010s to now.
Gotcha.
Would you say that we're more financially literate? Would you say that we're inside like are we being better fathers and mothers in family structure?
Hold on, but let's go one at a time. I don't want you to, because the thing is that there are areas in which, and that's what I came down to.
Gotcha.
There are areas in which I see both ways. So like with financial literacy, I think that probably has more to do with the information and the ability to obtain information. So I think that's the reason.
That's what I was going to get to too, as far as once we got away from the church. I don't know if it's necessarily the difference between correlation and causation. Like, it's also the rise in the information age, as far as like it could be, just because we went away from the church might not necessarily be the reason.
Or do you think that
I don't
the
think
fact
financially that has like that?
So do you think that the information age is specifically the reason, because of the access to information, why people have navigated away from the church?
It definitely, I think, just the access to reading other religions and the way other people think, definitely think it has broadened black people's horizons to think outside of just Christianity and the black church. I think I think that is causation.
Yeah,
I think
that
definitely is.
I think that it's funny because that it goes kind of with the conversation we were having earlier. I think that a big reason why we strayed away is because we don't want to be accountable. I think that straying away from, and which I said,
you think Christianity teaches accountability?
I think that it teaches. It definitely holds you to a certain standard, or it attempts to have you. It attempts to provide a standard in which you can hold yourself to. That is more into what I would say is more of a moral compass. I'm not talking about the entirety of any religion.
Church taught me the opposite of that.
Yeah, but I
Church
thought
literally taught me
the
opposite of that. Like, I remember growing up in church in high school, and it's around the age, you started getting your sexual desires, and they was, you can't have sex before marriage, and that's a sin. And I remember hearing all of this stuff about how bad sex was, and the flesh is weak, and all of that, and you gotta, Epstein, and you gotta do all of that. I remember all of that. And then our preacher got in trouble for grabbing the piano player's butt. And I was just like, bro, you've been talking all this stuff to us, but you out here living like hypocrisy.
That goes
and that's one of the things. That's not accountability to me. That's just
But
it's
even
just
to like
hypocrisy.
the specific teachings of the religion isn't like the idea of like, as long as you repent, it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, then that
Like that in itself is like one of those major things.
Empathy things,
you
not
can be
accountability.
the best or the worst. Like there's an extreme lack of accountability if you just allow to that. Like, as long as in your deathbed, I repent.
And that's a more New Testament. That's
to
more
be completely
New
honest,
Testament
To be completely honest, and I'm not. I definitely haven't read the Bible, but I don't believe. I believe that if you actually read, honestly, I think that people made up a whole bunch of shit, and we've just regurgitated a whole bunch of shit that people been saying as these main ideas for the religion.
Okay,
and we just saying this shit. Like, I actually like.
So what are you basing what you're saying on?
So I'm basing it on the fact that, like, I feel like within the religion, or not even the religion itself, it's just like the standard that it kind of the standard that at least I feel, or that I feel like I saw when I was growing up, of the individuals that were going to church. It was like you had more of that subconscious thing telling you that, like, nah, even though I'm doing this shit, like,
because
this
they
is
have
wrong.
IG.
What we did was, oh no, and I think
Because they have IG.
Yeah, like
that
the
has
information
played a part
age
of it,
exposed
too.
everything. It ain't like it wasn't preachers pimping niggas back in the day.
Oh yeah, no,
Like-
but I
like
mean
they-
that's also the
now you
messenger
could just see
shit.
the nigga on Instagram with the Fendi suit, fake getting robbed.
hold
so
up,
he
yo,
goddamn
yo,
get the
yo.
insurance money.
Oh, so he actually didn't get robbed?
Allegedly.
Oh, I was about to say
I'm gonna
it's
just
crazy.
say this mic can't allegedly. You know what I mean? But no, I err closer to Johnny P. Where I do think that like in the sense of specifically religion and how it's been used to manipulate black people, it's tough for me to stand on that side. Like if you believe inside in higher power, you know what I mean, I think that that's good. I don't think that you necessarily need a specific religion doctrine. And I also don't think that you need a specific religious doctrine to be moral. And to have a moral compass. And that's what a lot of people kind of go down the line of, is the fact that, like, well, where's your morality going to come from? I think that in general, even if you're not even religious in any way, I think that even if you're like you subscribe to atheism and shit like that, where there is this idea of like the quote unquote secret, in which like good energy omits good energy and bad energy omits bad energy. Whether like you're talking negative to a plant, it's going to start curling and dying. Or like if you emit positive energy towards whatever, like typically the idea of reciprocation is one of those golden rules that you see inside literally every religion, to where like, or every not religion, like if you're atheist, to where like these are like principles to live and be a good human being. And I personally don't think that whether you're Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, literally anything, you know what I mean? You can be Nuwapian as far as I care. Where, like, if you're a good person, that's literally all I care about. And I don't base your morality off of, like, if you're subscribed to any specific religion.
Let me let me build on that, because I think like even outside of religion, like if it wasn't a thing, and you know media didn't exist, and we had those, and it was just everybody just outside, just living life, making it work. I think, and I don't know the exact percentage, but I guarantee you more people are intrinsically good people than bad people. I just believe that. I believe that about humanity.
That's a worldview.
So I think
I don't
most
know if
people.
I believe that or not, but
I think most people, if you put them in a room,
yeah,
and they had to like smack somebody, I think most people will feel bad about it if they really hurt somebody. I think most people, when they hurt somebody,
depending
whether they
you put a cash prize to it, and you put a carrot in front of them.
I mean, but that's within that. But I think that's within society,
Gotcha.
And within rules, and you're trying to get something. I'm just saying, like within. I think most people are, and I might be wrong, but that's just the way I look at it. But I think even outside of just religion, most people are just intrinsically good. So I don't see why you necessarily need some outside force to break down and tell you what's good and what's bad. I think most people can like look at life and analyze it and see what's good and what's bad.
So I would,
And also the crazy thing is like when I 100% agree with you, because like I feel like like doing, and
I'm
like
in the
you
middle.
too, doing the right, doing the right thing is just literally what I think is, like you say, that positive begots positive. But one thing when we talked about like during the time period where we were thriving, right, as the community was thriving, what would you say the population of Christians were during that time amongst those thriving people? I feel like that was heavily Christian.
But do you think
Yeah,
they were
but do you
thriving
think-
because they were Christians?
Right.
Or do you think they were thriving because they were working together,
I think-
they were living together, they were spending their money, it was black doctors?
Oh yeah, no,
black
you're absolutely
everything.
right.
I don't think it had
But,
anything to do with religion.
Yeah, so like I was thinking like, if we go back to where, you know what I mean, back in the day when we were saying that we were thriving, I'm just gonna go back there. We were thriving. I would say the population of us that were Christian would have been at probably its largest, you know what I mean, at its largest population at that time. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, they had a common, let's say, well, of course, if they're all in the same religion, then they have a common consequence, number one. Then they have a common
not if you were
deity
Well, let me ask you.
to whom they believe is provided or allowing them to. I think that the Christian, the religious element provided a lot of commonalities that made it so to where we were talking like before, like how the community, what was it?
I just want to ask you one thing.
The ability to trust you and you trust me. You know what I mean? To those stepping stones, accountability, all of that shit. I'm not saying that like I said, I strayed away a long time ago, but to me, I thought it was like a intriguing thought.
But let me ask you, because I mean, it's one thing I think about too, as far as like, even when I think about like, I ask how do we get back to that, and I don't think it was about religion though. Like, I mean, yes, that was something that we all studied and we all came up with because it was passed down to. But the one commonality between those communities, it was all black people working with black people. And that's the, when I talk about accountability to your community, it's like I see people, the LGBT, they talk about their struggles and they talk about if you're not black, if you don't support this, but they don't even look at it as like, even the people in that community, the ones that are oppressed are the black ones. The white ones get put on magazines and stuff like, so it's all about your blackness at the end of the day, no matter who you are, what you believe in. The common, thing between us in America is our blackness and the struggle that comes with that and overcoming that struggle. So I think it's bigger than religion or any kind of movement that we got out there. That's the one thing that really ties us together.
And I think that even if you just sit and think about it, when you look at a lot of the different groups that have been successful in America, like you could take the Nation of Islam, for example, in which completely different religion, but what is major part of it is based on is principles. Just being principled people, and like it goes back to like there's a high level of accountability and different shit like that. Or I mean, we can go Black Panthers, like that's not a religious group,
right.
Like it's principled, in which like there's an accountability and like we're going to move and operate in this specific way.
So do you believe that it would take for some form of a group? So maybe it wasn't wasn't necessarily the religion itself or it being religious and text and all of that stuff. Is it simply establishing the group of
what more do we need than our blackness? Like,
yeah, because the thing is, it's easy to say that. It's easy to say that, but you still gonna have, motherfuckers that's gonna go against the grain. So that's why they make it a group thing. So that's within this group we are.
So I think that there's going to be people, no matter what, in every culture, religion, whatever, that's going to go against the grain. So we got to accept that as like something that's going to happen.
That's true.
But I think that what it comes down to is the idea of establishing for the whole a level of principles in which that we're going to operate on, right? And I think that that's more important than any religion. And yes, there's going to be people that's going to go against it. There's going to be people that's not. But as a group, as a totality, do we all, for the most part, buy into this philosophy, this idea? Whether it's like, again, we're going to attack education inside like this vicious manner in which we're going to all become educated, or not, even if we're not, all of our kids are going to be. Or we want to push our kids inside like this specific field, like whether it's STEM, in which like all right, now we can build up our income and our financial power within our community, and be able to leverage that inside political means inside. Like it's a bunch of different ways you can leverage.
Right.
You know what I mean? Power. But I think that that's most important. I think that at the end of the day, if we go just like specifically religious, that's one of the easier ways to divide people. And that if we base it principally, I don't give a fuck what religion you are. You could be an atheist. You could be a agnostic. You can be Christian. You could be a Muslim. You could be a Buddhist. You can goddamn pray to whatever the fuck you want to. But if we all are in agreement on exactly how we need to move and operate as people, as human beings, then I think that that's what's most important.
I want to build on that too, just to take it a little step further as far as like when you get to like, because I talk about sovereignty and I see like African countries that done gained their independence in the last 100 years and they done fought, and you look at the politics within some of those countries, like even amongst black people, you can have elements of conservatism or liberalism. Like you don't have to, or liberalism. You don't have to necessarily agree with all black people, but we can agree that being black is the one thing that makes us all common, whether we don't agree with each other or not. I don't think all black people should have to, agree on one thing, but that don't mean we all can't have a community where we know this is the most important thing that matters to us is our blackness, and we can put that out there. We can, when we get behind closed doors, we can talk it out. We can discuss, conservative, progressive aspects of it. But when we go outside and we present a front, we got to be united on this blackness, and then we can figure it all out back here. And I think that's like also an important thing about coming to communities. There's also room or leaving room to disagree.
Facts.
As far as I don't think all people should have to agree with 100% of things in order to make a community work.
Facts.
That's that's not right. You have to have people that disagree. But I'll throw it back. Okay.
Real quick, I just wanted to insert a quick ad. So we do have our first sponsor. If you look at Johnny, he has on his black sovereign tee, in which he is now selling $19.99 on our website called TBA. It's on the way.
They're called sovereign tees.
Sovereign TEE. So if you look again, like everything that he said, amazing points. It's all blacked out, and it's on some black shit, just like his T-shirt. His black sovereign tee. All right, my bad. Go ahead, bro.
Oh yeah, no, I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say. That was hard though. The sovereignties.
Yeah,
that was hard.
Go dumb.
Little wit. I feel it. Yeah, no. So I guess the way in which my mom was going with the question, it was almost like the like coming up with well, no, I ain't gonna say coming up with solutions. I know we always, the community as a community, we identify, and other communities identify the problems. I don't think that the solution is groupthink either. You know what I mean? With that groupthink, whether it be with religion or whatever, you know what I mean? I don't believe.
So do you think that principles? So do you specify principles in groupthink?
Oh no, when I say groupthink, I was talking about pretty much the idea that we all had to agree with everything. But I definitely agree with the principle. That was the whole reason for posing the question. Okay. Is where the period of time where we seem to have the most principle, or to accept and have a grand portion of our population to seemingly, which I was just growing up, so I didn't really know what was really going on. It was just the things that they were presenting to us as the way, as far as the way we dress, the way we talk to one another. All of those things were also not necessarily in the book, but in practice, you would see a certain temperament amongst those people. Even though of course, nobody's perfect. So that was to me, that was like the big thing where you start demonizing imperfect people for their imperfections, and that's really just fucking stupid. But
so I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think this is specifically for you? I think that me and Johnny kind of like answered it a little bit. Uh-huh. But do you think that black people can be principled without religion?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I think it would take. I think that it would take a lot longer to get there without some type of
groupthink. Is that what you're saying?
That's crazy.
Well, it's crazy, but he's talking about something that ties us together.
Right. Something that like.
That's where I don't agree. Yeah.
That's something that like, because there's not going to be unless, I mean, hell, it may happen, but it may take fucking, you know what I mean? This may, for us to get to where it is.
Just off the strength of it being some black shit. Like you say, I think you even talked about having like a black pact when they were all black people pay like money into like
all right. So
some shit
wait,
that
listen. They get into like, hey, below, if y'all want us to get into our bag when it comes to that political shit, right? We can. Like when the idea of like the black pact, because these are again, these aren't unnatural conversations that we have. These are conversations that we have often with our group of friends. And if y'all on the same wavelength, just let us know. Like, if there's some shit that you want us to really, really unpack a little bit, like, type foes. Put the foe in the chat.
We can't do the foes for the both of them. We're going to have to do fo or something. Fo.
Oh, 4 for 4. My bad. I don't know.
Just put something down there and tell us what y'all...
Yeah.
Let us know you're rocking with
the black pack. All right, just put black in the chat underneath. If y'all want us to goddamn drop into that type shit. I think, Taj, you had a question.
Yes. So, piggybacking off of the conversation, our blackness is what we have in common, and the need for the community to be stronger. So, do you think that black people should prioritize dating each other as opposed to dating outside of our community?
Single Johnny.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think black people should. Probably, yes. How else we gonna build, a strong community if we don't love on each other and build and reproduce, with each other.
But fuck that.
So,
Keeping
Umar,
the
you
black
said-
dollar within the black dollar.
The black
like,
dollar,
like
all
we
of
can't
that
we can't
too.
talk about building generational wealth if that shit's still getting outsourced. That's the part that niggas skip over. Like all that generational shit goes out the fucking window. If we're talking about black people community building, and we speak about again, and like, hey, listen, if you in your interracial bag, whatever, cool. I'm not like down to you or anything. But like if we're talking about like progress and progression, I think that there is a specific intentionality that other communities have that we as a community have not really put our foot on in the space that there is. Like, I know that I specifically love black women, and that's the only type of woman that I specifically am attracted to. That's the only people that I've been around. And I would like to see black people prosper, so I understand that that's what I want to invest in. And that's where I'm putting my investment in as well. So for me, I know, like, I'm in a bag where it's like, I would like to have black kids, black babies, blacker the better. And, like, truthfully, like, to me, I think that is important to invest. Fuck all that divest shit. Invest into our black community inside more than just words. Like, I don't give a fuck if you can tell me, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to donate. No, like, invest on the ground level, for real. Like, let's actually give these examples of what black wealth look like. Fuck, like, all our black athletes and all our black people being split down the middle, but like half your wealth is still going to the other side. Like, let's invest that shit inside black people. I don't even give a fuck if. Well, I give a fuck, but there's a piece of it. It's like even if like you don't give all that shit to specifically the black community, it is an amazing imagery to see like black families. Oh yeah, like LeBron and him, like LeBron and his family. Yeah. Like, listen, I'm gonna Jordan side of the debate, but when it come down to LeBron and his family. And what that shit is, and even if we go inside like LeBron's son taking like a different type of person to the prom, right? Yeah. I think that like if we really break it down, that's what niggas was really mad about, for real. They was mad about the idea of like infiltration into the perfect black family, in which like now the wealth that we speak about, when it comes down to the idea of okay, let's build the black community, black wealth, generational wealth, can now still be split in half with another.
Yeah. And I guess I'll speak on it from like on a personal level. So like my wife is Eritrean.
That's black.
So she's not. I'm not just saying she's not African American.
East African.
What I will say is with that as well. Like there are times where the understanding and the empathy, you know what I mean? She it's not the same. The understanding of the black man's plight is not going to be at the same place as it would, as it is with your counterpart. It does bring in some more difficulties and, things that you have to kind of, grow into.
Just let me know when I can have it real quick. Because it was,
I'll let him go because that's a very interesting
you threw me
point.
somewhere that recently I was watching Tariq Nasheed on No Jumper, and he was making this really, really interesting parallel between, I think he called them ADOS, American descendants of slavery, and black people who are immigrants, and the difference in ideology that it comes down to when it comes to like a lot of like the black plight or whatnot, and like their perspective and how they see that. Where like there's specific things that like even when we get in our cooning back and call niggas out, a lot of it don't be ADOS, it be immigrants that are black because it's a different experience.
Huh?
And
no, it is though.
So you saying a lot of the people that be out here talking shit about black people not necessarily born and raised.
And like every time he was like bringing somebody up, he was like, "But what did she say, or where did he say their parents was from?"
And it was someplace else.
Right.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And I'm telling you, bro, that is
crazy.
like I would say that's absolutely a real thing because of the they just didn't, you know what I mean? They don't understand the plight. So like you're coming in as an immigrant,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, which literally more than likely you receive some assistance greater than what, you know what I mean, than that like the actual native, you know what I mean, whatever you want to, you know what I mean. So you receive, so like in my yeah, like they literally were at war over there in Eritrea,
Oh,
and
no, they still going.
like
Yeah, it's crazy
brought the
over
family
there.
over and provided resources,
Right.
you
And
know,
it's tough to
for
do
them
that
to
from over
build.
there.
But you know the thing is that like she had to tell, like I had to tell her, like, you're not black though. You know what I mean? We had that conversation.
It's real though.
And it is when you say certain things, you can mess around and trigger me because you're saying these things, and the reason you're saying them is because you're not black.
You're African.
You know what I mean? You don't see the thing as the way that I see it.
Well,
Yeah.
So you may say something that I could
That's
be
such a
offended
crazy.
by.
That's a very interesting.
Can you
like,
give an example, or like what's specific? I'm very interested as far as like y'all probably like what type of things does she seeing from like the black community that she say we should do better? If we talking about
So-
like accountability and empathy, and you saying you want more empathy, is it a spot where she's saying we need more accountability? And is
So
she right?
literally, it's a lot of accountability pieces, really. It's a lot of accountability pieces.
Is this messenger
and it's
messenger?
right. So like I was just about to say, that, and it's like at the end of the day, it does feel a lot worse when somebody else on the outside is telling you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it's not an absolute truth.
Facts.
It doesn't mean it's not an absolute truth. But then when you're saying it, it's also the way in which you're saying it. Is your tone that you are above when you're saying it?
Yeah. No, that matters.
Yes, that
you can't
matters.
talk down on somebody.
Right. You can't talk down on a people's situation when you don't understand the entire situation that was placed upon these people, which would have gotten them in the, you know what I mean, in the way that they are.
So real quick, I want to talk about a quote that I heard, right? Mm-hmm. There was a quote that I heard, and it says, I don't want to talk about tone. Do you understand what I said? What's your thoughts on that?
Eesh. So that's how you see how my niggas just try to back me in the corner like that?
No, I'm just asking.
I'm saying that's, and then he put his feet up
hard
too.
with
That's
it. You
vicious.
seen that?
He
Ain't
put his
crossed them
feet up
joints?
too. It's vicious.
Yeah, nah.
It's
At the
vicious.
same time, like at the end of the day, like there's a
Hey, shout out to the screen.
and then you fucked me up because you literally just used my own shit against me.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that was you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Cold blooded.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
cold
my
as
bad.
shit.
You gotta call
It
him
was
out.
cold as shit. And see, the best part about like I guess me and us is like the idea that it's the fact that like I can be wrong.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day,
There we
I
go.
can make a statement that contradicts my previous statement because I'm still growing.
Facts.
My mind is, I'm still
You're
fucking
allowed
learning
to
right
evolve.
now.
You're allowed to
Yeah,
evolve.
I'm learning
yeah.
from y'all. You know what I mean? That's what the
Facts.
best thing is, that like literally I get to understand what I think.
Yeah.
I get to understand what I actually think by sitting here talking to y'all, listening to y'all disagree with what I think. It helps me to establish what I actually believe.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about this shit.
No, for sure. So, did you understand what he said?
Yeah, I understood what he said. So like, he pretty much was saying that like, I made the statement like, okay, and even when I'm talking to, let's say if I was talking to my wife, you know what I mean? She made, and even Kevin Samuels, like a lot of women will bring up like the way that you say
that's
something.
a great way to go both ways with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This nigga.
Yep. No, I'm literally agreeing with you.
I hate
I ain't got shit to say. Like, no, all right, so what I'm saying is the fact that like with men, we like to point Kevin Samuels as like the idea of like with women you hate accountability coming from somebody else. And with you, what you were saying is that like with your wife
the
not
opposite.
being from somewhere else, like even though she's saying what she's saying, you hate the accountability coming from her. You know what I'm saying? Where like again, like it's just a flip inside ideology, in which I agree. Like that's a direct parallel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, and yeah, like I definitely. It's funny because like if you notice the part, we actually kind of stayed this. We make little statements again, but it's actually fucking linear. It's
We're
actually
kind of
very
coming
linear.
back full circle.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy how
And
it
that
goes.
is, yeah.
It's crazy how it goes. But I want to answer that because
Yeah. Get in your
What
bag.
up, what up?
tone does matter. Because
Okay.
I work in sales, and I can come out and say one thing to a person, and especially if you want to, like, if you're trying to achieve a goal, Like if you want the person to understand what you said and you're actually speaking to like communicate properly, you can say a message and it can be right all day long. But if I say, "Hey, fuck nigga, you shouldn't have thought," you're probably not gonna get that. Like, but if I be like, "Hey, bro, man, you probably shouldn't have," you know, you're gonna understand it better. And like as a salesperson, I can't come to a customer and, man, fuck no, I can't do that.
And that's
fuck
even
out.
an empathy
Or
versus
I could be like, I
accountability.
can't do that, but I can. So your tone does matter, especially if you're talking to people that you respect and it's people that you want to get your message. If you're just saying something and just saying it because it's right, and you don't care how people, cool. But if you're talking to like your people, you're talking to like people that you respect. Your tone does matter because somebody could not get your message just because of your tone. And if your goal is to have them get your message, you don't want them not to get it just because of your tone. So I think sometimes that, man, you gotta watch how you. It's not just what you say; it's how you say it. That matters a lot too.
Yeah, but I would say it doesn't matter nearly as much as what you're saying. I get what you're saying because you can trigger someone based on tone.
Well,
At the end of the day, it's what I work on is like I like to think of intent. So if your intention is to make me feel a way, then I'm going to allow you to see that I feel a way. But if your tone is left, but your intention, and I can read the intent, is to be productive, then you know what I mean. That's like if fucking I'm trying to tell you something about like I know about the estate planning, and I'm actually like, you know what I mean. My tone may be aggressive.
If you tell me crazy, I might not get it though.
Yeah, but my thing is,
Well,
I would
right or
hope
not,
that.
though, and
So
that's-
what I'm saying is that I would think that the best answer would be for you to be able to.
But what's more important, me getting it or you being right?
I got a question for
agree.
both of y'all, right? Piggybacking on all that. So, do you think that being triggered comes down primarily just to emotional intelligence?
It's on you.
I mean,
It's on you. That's what
yes.
I was just trying to explain.
yes and no. If
It's
somebody
on
comes
you.
out and disrespects you, whether they saying something right or not, that's not you being emotionally triggered. Like, if I come out and be like, "Hey, fuck, nigga, you shouldn't have did that. That was some fuck shit," you're
Right.
gonna be mad. Now, I was being
Well,
yeah,
disrespectful.
but it's also-
But
That's a
like,
terrible-
am I holding you accountable to some fuck shit that you just did? Like why else would I be saying that though?
I mean,
Yeah, nah.
That's what I'm saying.
if he did some fuck shit, I mean,
Then tell that nigga he did fuck shit.
Facts.
Fuck all that. Like, I understand. You
I'm
had
trying
some
to-
trauma. Nah,
I really just wanna
like,
politely
nah,
ask-
I'm not about to keep letting you fuck me over though.
I mean,
And that's what it come down to.
I get that, but I think the tone does. Like,
And then, see,
like
the
if
thing
he's
is that we
fucking
said-
me over, like,
No,
cool.
but
Like,
then
I'm gonna tell
I'm-
you what it is. But if I see somebody like my homeboy, I'm talking about empathy for my niggas in the hood and shit,
Mm-hmm.
and I bring them down. Like if I know they need to hear some information and I really want them to get it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell it to them a certain way. I'm not just gonna run in there and be like, "Y'all boys stupid as fuck for not doing this. Y'all need to listen to this. Y'all need to do X, Y, and Z."
You know the
Even
thing-
though that might be true, I'm gonna bring it to them a certain way because I really want them to get it.
If we talking about someone, I think the line, like just draw a line. So you don't have to be disrespectful. So I think specifically what you're talking about is the idea of being disrespectful. And that's the space that we have to draw the line at, right?
Right.
I don't think that, like, if you're disrespecting anybody or community, anything, they're going to hear you. But, like, if you're saying truth and, like, you're just saying it and you just don't like the fact that I'm saying the shit,
No, I get
I
that.
think that's his own thing. Like, a lot of people, like talk around in circles and parables and metaphors and shit like that instead of saying, like, what you actually really need to hear.
And where do
hey,
you get
nigga, stop
urgency?
fucking up, or this is going to lead you down this fucking path.
Yeah, and where do you
And
get
this is what it looks
urgency?
like.
If I'm pussyfooting around the whole shit, where do you get a sense of urgency
None.
from the shit? Like, this needs to fucking happen.
No, I
Facts.
mean,
This needs to fucking happen.
Hey.
I don't need the doggone. Will you all please?
And I-
No, fuck that. We already done pleased. The white man been begging fucking families to
that
stay
too.
together in our
Totally.
community for years. I ain't gonna say begging, but they've been talking about this point for a long time.
I don't know if the white man been doing
Hey,
that,
nah.
but
What you mean when they? Oh no, you ain't
the
never
whole
seen
welfare system is based off of the fact of, like, exploiting the black family and splitting them up.
But they've also been saying that the number one problem with the black community is the lack of the two-parent household.
While at the same time,
Providing
they're
the-
systematically making sure that that's not the thing that is most beneficial.
Hey, Quinn,
Yeah,
is
So
that,
that's
so
lip
no, I'm
service.
not-
Quinn,
no,
is that empathy I'm hearing?
Huh?
Is that empathy
What?
for black people?
Talking about
no.
him?
Oh no! Listen, I understand the game.
A little
bro.
bit of
Listen.
empathy.
Hey, that's definitely
Hard over here.
lack of fucking
All the kids making
accountability.
it hard.
Lack of fucking accountability.
Look at
What
the
we
heart over
talking
here.
about, nigga?
I made a heart.
What are you talking about? Lack of accountability.
Oh no! I think that there's an accountability piece. There's also a logical piece, though, right?
Right.
So like I think that you can clearly understand logically how, if we're just speaking black people, where like if your life is made easier by not having a father in the home, and this is where like whether you want to go liberal or conservative, these are like ideologies. Where it's like I forget like the term that is talked about, but specifically when the black father was removed from the black household, how that turned a lot of the black community. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's just where I stand on.
Yeah, I'm not. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
Now I just got one more as far as like the tone in which I was saying. I do agree with y'all as far as like being direct matters too. As far as like I'm in sales, sometimes I can't pussyfoot around, and I gotta tell a motherfucker, "Hey, bro, this is when you fucking up." But I do
You be selling shit?
huh?
You be selling shit
Yeah.
or exploiting niggas?
No.
My bad. That's a different conversation.
I just close deals and people pay me what they think is fair value.
You be
for,
knocking
for the
niggas' heads
service.
off or not? Pause.
People pay me fair value for the
Fair
services
value.
that I provide. That's what it is. That people pay me fair services. But I will
You ever
say,
said I be knocking niggas' heads off? And what do you mean?
I have never hit anybody in the head with any object.
This nigga's stupid, bro.
This man
my
trying
bad,
to get me on the.
Hey, he trying to throw everybody
He trying to come for niggas today, boy. He
Yeah.
trying to
Right,
come for niggas
I'm just
today.
being me.
Nah,
Like I say, I have never hit any of my customers in the head with anything.
Literal Johnny over there. I feel you, bro.
But
I feel you.
speaking that tone, like both ways, it matters
Tone
because
talk.
sometimes you can't say something too soft and people won't get it. Sometimes you can say it too tough or too, disrespectful and they won't get it. So you can't just say whatever the fuck you want to say to people and them get it. That's part of communication. That's the whole thing, as far as us being on the podcast and talking it out with each other. It does matter to a certain extent if you want people to understand what you can't just say something. It's not about you saying it and them hearing it. It's about you saying it and them comprehending it. So however you got to do it to make people comprehend what you're saying is what you have to go out and do. You might want to say it one way, but if you're talking to a person that's not going to pick it up, you might have to change the way you communicate. And that's just my thing about tone. Yeah. People always say, I just want to say it this way. But you're talking to people, and they might...
Yeah, and this is just a hypothesis. Like, I've heard this said to me, like, of course, like, English is, like, the most complex language, right?
I don't know.
Or the hardest language to learn, the most complex, right? So, like, and from my understanding, it's like, even in Spanish, where, like, they don't have all of these feelings and shit to be going, you know what I mean? It's more direct. They say things and it's fucking, the ball is fucking red, like, you know what I mean? We're not going, it's not debating and all the, you know what I mean? So you can, I understand tone, but like, we sitting here, it's no need to be like going, I think it's at this point, bro, if we ain't got it yet, then all this fucking whispering ain't gonna work.
Facts. I ain't saying whisper, but I'm saying you got to know when to do it. Like you got
to know when to agree with you.
And when to tell a motherfucker what it is. But it's about knowing when to do it and applying that pressure at the right time. Yeah. I think people forget that. I think they just...
Yeah, I'm about tired of being around people.
Y'all niggas better stop handicapping these niggas with empathy and sympathy.
Yeah, especially dudes, bro. Men.
Big facts.
Especially men, bro.
I don't think that as black men, I don't think that like laying on all this, like, again, like, get your black mental health together and all that shit like that. But laying on that shit, and because at the end of the day, you still gonna have to get up and get it. Period. We can sit here and talk about relationship shit. Guess what? Ain't no woman sitting here like really, like they gonna say that, oh, I want you to be emotional, oh, I want you to be all that shit. But when it come down to it, nigga, what are you doing?
You ain't letting no emotional man lead.
That part also.
It's not happening. But you want a leader though. So what are you saying?
Right. And that's my part.
You want your son to be able to be
like
at
the end of the day, like all that shit is cool, and it's tough as a black man. You got to work it out. You got to figure it out. And a lot of that shit is like that self-work. But
Sometimes
at
you
the
gotta
end of
be
the day,
alone.
like leaning on that shit, like, oh, I'm like feel sorry for me, that shit don't get you nowhere. Like you got to be able to stand on your own too, stand with your back straight up, and goddamn get the shit done.
Facts.
That just is what it is.
That's
bro.
the bottom
Big
line.
facts.
Like that's the bottom line. I talk all this, I'm a nice guy, but end of the day,
I'm
Yeah.
not so nice.
clearly, but end of the day, end of the day, you do have to get it done. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
when you
Ain't
go to
nobody
your
finna
job,
hold your hand.
they looking at what you done put up on the board. They looking at your gross. All of that fucking matters. So,
Facts.
like I said, I ain't gonna beat the horse, till it die. But
Motherfucker dead.
That motherfucker.
but no, I think
We going to the positive takeaways.
I was gonna say y'all boys got anything else or? I think that was pretty.
I think that was good. What
I
you
think we
bro?
hit all the
Yeah, I
sides.
think that was
I think we definitely hit all the sides. We can hop into the positive takeaway, then we'll roll out.
Okay.
I'm gonna do my first one semi-positive, but I just want to say rest in peace, that boy Teddy Ray, the comedian. He's one of my favorite comedians, and he passed away on Friday, I think. But I just been watching a lot of his stand-up.
Oh no, he's
over the past 2 days, and boy, was funny as hell,
Nah,
man.
he's-
Motherfucker had
I like
me
him.
weak, crying, laughing a couple times.
He was new and improved Lavelle Crawford.
Down like all deaf comedy and all his different shit. So just want to say that.
No shot to Lavelle.
Just say
Lavelle,
shout out to him too. But it's just good to laugh sometimes, man. And sometimes motherfucker you don't realize how important that is because we all live stressful.
Yeah.
Live work get into you sometimes it's just good to laugh and take a break. Decompress. From all your stress, take a moment. And unfortunate something fucked up had to happen for me to kind of look at that and understand. But that's at least what I wanted to come and
Be like
put
that
out there. As far as sometimes you gotta laugh and the importance of people who make you laugh and just having a good time sometimes. So life stressful is hard enough. You don't want to make it any harder on yourself. So
absolutely.
that's my positive takeaway. Just get a couple laughs. Kevin Hart said like 7 a day. So
Gotcha. I would say for me, positive takeaway, embrace the process.
okay.
For me, I think that this week, that's been a part of the whole thing. Whether and I can take it inside a couple different like scenarios. Like for me, whether it's like even like say the pod shit, right? I'm embracing the process in which like, boom, I can spend a specific amount of time a day, every single day, just fucking around doing some shit with it. But end of the day, the shit don't feel like work. Mm-hmm. The shit feels like I'm learning a skill and I'm getting better at something. And for me, I think that's important. And I also understand that where it's led me before. Mm. My current job is a direct product of me being inside like the artist hip hop music field, in me embracing that process and learning as many skills as possible. What it led me to is like, oh, boom, you've built up enough skills to get to this point. Mm-hmm. And this has allowed you to work this amazing career that you enjoy, right? And I think that that's important. Sometimes we do a lot of shit and we're looking for like specific, immediate gratification. And sometimes you just have to sit there, dig in, and embrace the process. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes learning is a superpower.
Right.
You said something about that. Well, you was talking about how you was learning last week, but that's something me and my homeboy talked about how, like, if you got the patience and the want to sit and learn something, you basically can do anything in the fucking world that you want to do.
And the major thing is that just embrace it, because the thing is that it's also this space where a lot of niggas want to get paid before it's time to get money.
Before they're ready, before they're good enough.
That's the fact that I'm saying.
That's
like,
hard. You want to get paid before it's time to get money.
And the thing is, like, get really good at some shit. The money gonna come anyway.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you've known me for enough years, money's never been a motivator. I've been offered money to do a lot of different things, specifically with like just the different skill sets that I have.
Some shit
but it's not
too.
even. It's not. That's not what moved me. If I fuck with something, like there's specific people that I will do shit for free, that I can charge them for, because of like I just enjoy doing the shit, or like I want to see you win or whatever. And I think that once you get to that space where like boom, I'm just focused on the product of some shit, then it's good. But like even like relating that to another thing, where embracing the process, right? I think that even yesterday, I was put inside like this unfamiliar situation, right? Where like I was kind of like put in a spot just to do some shit, and at that moment, I kind of was like, oh boom, this is what I like. I kind of enjoy this, right? Like I kind of enjoy like those jitters of like being put inside an uncomfortable situation that I'm not used to.
It's growth.
Because of exactly.
It's growth right there.
Now, like I got to make it happen. I got to do this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like boom, you just put me on the spot. Cool. Now I literally have no choice. I ain't think about it. I ain't doing. It's here. I got to make it happen. And embracing even that process. Like, okay, cool. You can go. You might be put inside spaces in which you're uncomfortable with, but this is the process. Now you got to prove yourself all over again. Now you got to stand on your 10 toes, back straight, and make shit happen. And embracing the process every single time, I think, is really, really important. And that's my positive takeaway from the week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess mine is not gonna be as winded, but y'all, but them's good as fuck though. Like dropping gems and for real. Mine's something that's more recent. I think that like, and there's cliche that kind of goes around like you work hard now to play later. It'll come a time when you're supposed to play, and you'll know when it's time. We starting like in this whole YOLO idea that that's been going on. I think that we still this whole YOLO thing. I think even though the saying is not as popular, the idea and the implementation and the lifestyles is still very fucking vibrant within the community. Bro, it'll your time will come. You know what I mean?
No, that's facts.
Sit back, goddamn, yeah. Sit back and make sure you got your priorities. Priorities are very important. Priorities. Make sure you check some boxes, and then you can bucket list. Check some boxes that enable the bucket list. You know what I mean? For you to check a bucket list off. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
And that's just it. That's it for me.
People scared of hard work. Definitely, like you were saying, we live in this microwave society where they give it to motherfuckers. They was giving money away. Motherfuckers don't want to work no fast food job and work their way up. Motherfuckers,
I still have problems hiring. Chick-fil-A hiring for $19.99 and niggas ain't paying.
That's crazy.
Niggas ain't going to get.
That's because people scared to work, man. That's just the society that we've lived in. They scared to put in that hard work. As far as like, shit ain't easy. Nobody wants to work. Sometimes you gotta work to get what you want, to get the shit that you deserve. Sometimes there's a certain amount of hours you gotta put in, and until you do it, you ain't gonna get it. And it's just, it's just to piggyback on what he said. But
real quick, before we end this positive takeaway, I feel like we inside like this vulnerable space. And I think that it throws to like a good wrap-up question, right? A good wrap-up question.
You saying one to pose on the next one, or you saying to?
Well, however y'all want to do it. I think that what y'all saying leads to this idea of like, as black men, do we know how to love ourselves?
Oh yeah, hey, that's go. I think we should definitely. We should go. That should be the.
We'll come back to that one.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll definitely come back to that one. Y'all definitely like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Tell us what y'all think about that down below.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to hear us talk about that? Do you?
Yeah, if y'all want to hear us talk
themselves or not?
If y'all got any other questions, put them below. Definitely follow us on Instagram.